They watch you, always. They measure your worth not by truth, but by the image you cast. In their eyes, your power is not what you hold, it's what they think you hold. The crowd lives in shadows of perception, and if you do not master their vision, you will be swallowed by their illusions. They crave symbols. They fear strength they cannot touch and respect masks more than flesh. Understand this, the world is not ruled by reality, it is ruled by belief. A man who commands perception bends others without lifting a blade. Your silence becomes thunder. Your presence becomes myth. Your absence becomes fear. They are blind, yet their blindness is opportunity. If you choose the mask carefully, they will never pierce it. Show them calm when you are chaos. Show them ruthlessness when you are calculating. Appear generous when you're setting traps. They will call it truth, but it is only what you allowed them to see. And once they believe, their chains belong to you. They will never admit this, but they long to be ruled by perception. They follow the confident lie over the fragile truth. And if you hesitate, if you stumble, they will devour you. Master perception, and you master them. Fail, and you will be forgotten like dust. Number 1. The mask. Power is never naked. It wears a face. The weak wander the world bare, thinking honesty will protect them. But honesty is a dagger you hand to your enemies. The wise know this. Truth is fragile. Masks are steel. The mask conceals weakness, disguises intent, and transforms perception into control. Without it, you bleed for the crowd. With it, you make the crowd kneel. You see, men are blind to reality. They do not search for truth. They search for meaning, symbols, and stories. A crown is just metal, yet in the eyes of the masses, it is godlike authority. A robe is just fabric, yet it commands reverence. Power is never the thing itself. It is what people believe about it. Strip away belief, and a king is nothing. But wear the right mask, and even a beggar becomes untouchable. The mask is your shield and your weapon. It protects you from scrutiny while shaping how they respond. Show them confidence, and they will call you capable. Show them silence, and they will call you wise. Show them ruthlessness, and they will call you strong. They will name their illusions truth, not realizing you have fed them the image you wanted. The mask is not deception, it is survival. Understand this, the world is not fair. Men are not rewarded for virtue, they are rewarded for perception. If you are brilliant but appear weak, you will be dismissed. If you are shallow but appear dominant, you will be feared. Machiavelli knew it well. The appearance of power is often more important than power itself. Learn to sculpt that appearance, and you will bend others without resistance. But beware, the mask must never crack. One glimpse of doubt, one slip of weakness, and the same crowd that praised you will turn against you. They will call you fraud, not because you lied, but because you dared to remind them of their blindness. Guard the illusion as you would guard your life. Without it, you are nothing but prey among wolves. So craft your mask with care. Make it sharp, unbreakable, and unforgettable. Let it inspire loyalty, ignite fear, and demand respect. The world will never know the real you, and that is the point. Comment below, I am the mask, and the mask is power. Number 2, fear versus love. They will tell you it is better to be loved. They are wrong. Love is fragile, unpredictable, fleeting. Fear, when carefully crafted, endures. Love rests on the emotions of others, but emotions shift like sand in the wind. Fear rests on survival, and survival never changes. Machiavelli wrote, "It is safer to be feared than loved, because fear makes men obey even when love has died." You must understand this. Men betray love when it suits them, but they hesitate to betray fear. Love is sweet, but it breeds entitlement. The loved man is expected to give endlessly, to forgive endlessly, to break himself for the comfort of others. The feared man gives nothing freely, yet is obeyed. To be feared wisely is to hold invisible chains around every throat in the room. Do not confuse fear with hatred. Hatred is reckless, dangerous, corrosive. Fear is precise, calculated, and controlled. Hatred blinds men into rebellion. Fear blinds men into submission. The art is balance, enough coldness to demand respect, enough distance to remain untouchable. Never be cruel without purpose. Cruelty without calculation makes you savage. but cruelty with intent makes you sovereign. Love inspires warmth, but warmth breeds weakness. A leader who seeks only love must please everyone, and in pleasing everyone, he becomes the servant of all. But the leader who is feared does not need to please. His presence itself is enough. The loved man's words can be ignored. The feared man's silence shakes the air. Which one do you think they follow when survival is at stake? Fear makes men vigilant, loyal, restrained. Even when they curse you in whispers, they will not move against you openly, because in their gut they know the cost. Love makes men bold, reckless, entitled. Love makes them believe they can test you without consequence. That is why rulers who chase love fall, while rulers who cultivate fear endure. So do not chase the comfort of being loved. Chase the power of being feared. Let them admire you if they choose, but let admiration be the shadow of their respect, not its core. Command their loyalty not through affection, but through awe, through calculated distance, through the cold weight of consequence. When love fails, fear remains. When fear remains, power remains. Comment below. I choose fear over fragile love. Number 3. Silence as a weapon. Noise is weakness. The desperate man speaks too much, revealing what he should conceal. He explains, he justifies, he begs to be understood, and in his flood of words, he gives away his mind, his fears, his plans. But silence is steel. Silence unsettles. Silence controls. When you master silence, you master the battlefield of perception. Understand this. Men fear what they cannot read. Words make you predictable. Silence makes you a mystery. A single pause can shake the confidence of an enemy more than 100 arguments. The quiet man holds the power because others fill the void with their own weakness. They project. They assume. They betray themselves while you say nothing. That is the power of the silent ruler. When you withhold words, you force others to chase meaning. They begin to wonder, what is he thinking? What is he planning? Is he angry? Is he calm? That uncertainty is your blade. The man who speaks recklessly loses leverage. The man who speaks sparingly makes every word a weapon. Even a whisper becomes thunder when it follows silence. But silence is not absence. It is presence magnified. It demands discipline to resist the temptation to explain, to correct, to boast. Weak men cannot bear silence. They crave validation. They need to be heard. Strong men weaponize it. They let others speak themselves into weakness while they remain immovable, unreadable, untouchable. The silence becomes a fortress no one can storm. Use silence to test loyalty, to create tension, to make others reveal themselves in their eagerness to fill the void. The fool cannot stand silence. He spills secrets, exposes fears, destroys alliances with his own mouth. Let him. You gain without lifting a finger. That is dark psychology in motion. Let others hang themselves while you remain still. The art of silence is the art of control. Do not give them what they expect. Do not soothe their doubts. Let them stew. Let them sweat. Let them imagine monsters in your quiet. You will discover that men fear silence more than they fear anger. For anger is understood, but silence is infinite. So learn this weapon. Wield it without apology. When you choose words, make them sharp. When you choose silence, make it absolute. Comment below, my silence is my sword. Number 4. Reputation as armor. Reputation is a shield sharper than steel. It fights battles before you enter the field. Men may doubt your power, but if your reputation is iron, they will think twice before moving against you. Reputation is the shadow that strikes ahead of you, the whisper that bends men without your presence. It is both armor and weapon. Understand this, power without reputation is fragile. You may hold strength in secret, but if the world does not believe in it, they will test you endlessly. Yet if your reputation precedes you, even the thought of resistance dies in silence. Reputation saves energy. It wins wars without swords. It makes others bow before you even lift a hand. Reputation is fragile, yet it is also eternal. Build it with calculation, not chance. Never let gossip or carelessness define you. Guard it as though your life depends on it, because it does. Men forgive failure, but they do not forgive the collapse of image. A single stain can destroy years of careful construction. Protect your reputation with vigilance, but do not merely guard it, weaponize it. Let them believe you are more ruthless than you are. Let them believe your reach is longer, your discipline sharper, your resolve unbreakable. People act not on truth, but on what they think is true. Create a reputation so cold, so precise, that even when you are absent, your presence dominates the room. When enemies rise, destroy their reputation before their body. Public image bleeds faster than flesh. Once their name is ruined, their power collapses and their allies scatter. Machiavelli warned, "Men are ruled by appearances. Understand this, and you will never need to fight every battle. You will win many by perception alone." Your reputation must not be built on kindness or trust. These are fragile currencies. Build it on strength, control, and consequence. Let them know betrayal carries cost. Let them believe loyalty carries protection. Make your name a signal. When it is spoken, let it echo with weight, with fear, with respect. Reputation is the armor that never rusts if you guard it with fire. Build it carefully, project it relentlessly, weaponize it without hesitation. The man who owns his reputation owns the battlefield long before the battle begins. Comment below, "My name is my fortress." Number 5. The art of distance. Familiarity is poison to power. The closer they think they know you, the easier they take you for granted. Distance creates mystique, and mystique breeds influence. When you are always available, your presence loses weight. But when you control access, when you appear rarely and with precision, you become unforgettable. Scarcity builds value. Men crave what they cannot touch. They worship what they cannot fully grasp. The emperor seen once a month inspires more reverence than the neighbor seen daily. Power thrives in distance because distance forces imagination. They will fill the gap with awe, with fear, with stories that exaggerate your strength. Be careful. If they see too much of you, they will see too much weakness. Understand this. The world measures you not by who you are, but by how hard it is to reach you. A man in every room is ignored. A man in one room, seen once, becomes legend. The great mistake of the weak is to cling too tightly, to overexpose, to chase validation through constant presence. The strong appear on their own terms when their silence has built enough hunger to make their words thunder. Distance also protects you. It shields you from scrutiny, from cheap familiarity, from the erosion of awe. If they believe they know everything about you, they strip you of power. But if they only catch glimpses, controlled, deliberate, they remain uncertain. And uncertainty is the seed of respect. A predictable man is easy to dismiss. A distant man is impossible to ignore. Machiavelli taught that rulers must sometimes hide behind spectacle, revealing themselves sparingly with impact. Think of distance as stagecraft. Appear, command, withdraw. The crowd will beg for more, and in their begging, they raise you higher. Never let them drink until they drown. Give them drops, enough to thirst, never enough to quench. To practice distance is to master control over presence. It requires discipline to step back when you want to step forward. It requires strength to deny your instinct to be seen and heard, but that denial builds power. The less they have of you, the more they imagine, and imagination is always more powerful than reality. So withdraw when you are tempted to expose, retreat when you crave recognition, reappear only when it serves you, control the rhythm of presence like a general controls war. Comment below, "My distance makes me untouchable." Number 6. Calculated cruelty. Mercy without strategy is weakness. Kindness without power is a leash around your own neck. Men respect cruelty more than compassion if that cruelty is precise, cold, and purposeful. The ruler who never punishes is mocked. The ruler who punishes without reason is hated, but the ruler who strikes once, hard and with purpose, he is remembered forever. Understand this. Cruelty in excess creates rebellion, but cruelty in measure creates obedience. Fear sharpens loyalty, and a single act of decisive harshness can prevent years of betrayal. Machiavelli wrote that it is better to be feared than loved, and cruelty is the hand that shapes fear. To use it wisely is not savagery, it is strategy. When you show calculated cruelty, you send a message. You remind them that consequence is real. Weak men hope for forgiveness, so they test boundaries. Strong men deliver consequences, and those tests disappear. The man who hesitates to punish is devoured. The man who punishes with purpose never needs to punish often because his reputation carries the threat for him. Cruelty must never be emotional. Rage is sloppy. Vengeance is costly. True cruelty is delivered with calm precision, without hesitation, without apology. It is cold justice, not reckless violence. A ruler who explodes loses control. A ruler who executes with discipline gains absolute control. They may curse you in secret, but they will never defy you openly. Kindness has its place, but it must always be outweighed by the shadow of consequence. If they believe your heart is soft, they will exploit it. If they know your hand is sharp, they will tread carefully, even when you are silent. Compassion without cruelty is emptiness. Cruelty without compassion is chaos, but cruelty balanced with timing, that is power. Remember this: it is better to shock once than to wound many times. A single ruthless act can secure years of peace. A single decisive punishment can deter countless betrayals. History rewards the man who understands that controlled cruelty preserves order, while weakness breeds endless chaos. Men forgive cruelty faster than they forgive weakness, so do not shy from it. Do not flinch when it must be done. Deliver cruelty like a blade, swift, clean, unforgettable. Then withdraw, let silence carry the echo. Comment below: my cruelty is my crown. Number 7. Shadows of power. Power is never just what you hold, it is what they believe you hold. The shadow of power often rules more strongly than the substance itself. Men obey not because they see your strength directly, but because they fear what might be hidden. Illusion creates hesitation. Hesitation creates submission. The shadow makes you larger than life. Understand this: people are slaves to imagination. If they think your reach is endless, they will never test your limits. If they suspect your hand stretches further than theirs, they will bow before striking. You do not need to control everything. You only need to make them believe you could. Appear untouchable, and no one dares touch. This is why the greatest rulers project strength even when vulnerable. They show no cracks. They let their silence speak, their reputation echo, their presence weigh heavier than their flesh. The shadow around them grows until it becomes legend. Enemies whisper about powers that may not exist. Allies stand taller in their light. Both are chained by perception, not reality. But beware, shadows must be maintained. If you let them fade, if reality exposes weakness, the illusion collapses. A man whose power is unmasked becomes prey overnight. That is why you must always act with precision, never reveal too much, never strip away mystery. Keep them guessing. Doubt is the leash that holds them in place. The shadow is built with stories, with calculated displays, with selective victories magnified until they look like destiny. You do not need to be everywhere. You need to be seen in moments that matter most. The rest, let whispers do the work. People will exaggerate your strength on your behalf. Fear thrives best when it is self-fed. Machiavelli understood this. Men are ruled more by appearances than facts. And appearances can be shaped, stretched, distorted into shadows that loom larger than the man himself. Play this art with care, and you will appear unstoppable. Fail, and you will be seen as nothing more than flesh and bone. So expand your shadow, feed it with silence, with distance, with calculated cruelty. Let your image be taller than your body, your legend greater than your actions. Power in flesh fades, but power in shadows endures. Comment below: I command the shadows of power. Number 8. Mastering contradiction. Power is not built on consistency. Power is built on contradiction. The predictable man is chained, boxed, and controlled. The contradictory man cannot be read, cannot be tamed, cannot be opposed with certainty. To master contradiction is to become a storm, ungraspable, feared, and respected all at once. Consistency is for the weak. Contradiction is for the sovereign. Understand this: men crave certainty. They want to know who you are, what you will do, how you will react. Certainty comforts them, but it also makes you their servant. The moment they can predict you, they can control you. But when you are contradiction itself, when your actions defy expectation, you force them into submission. They hesitate, they second guess, and hesitation is the death of resistance. Machiavelli knew this. He warned that rulers must appear virtuous while being ruthless, appear merciful while being feared, appear consistent while being opportunistic. This is contradiction turned into strategy. You must be two things at once, the lion and the fox, the flame and the stone, the generous giver and the merciless taker. They will never know which face you will show, and that ignorance is your weapon. Contradiction unsettles because it denies them control. One day you are silent, the next you speak with fire. One day you are merciful, the next you strike without hesitation. They cannot build expectations, so they build myths. They cannot anchor you, so they give you space above them. To them, you become untouchable, not because of what you are, but because of what they cannot pin down. But hear this warning: contradiction must be controlled, never random. The fool is erratic, the sovereign is deliberate. Every contradiction must serve purpose. You are not chaos, you are design that appears chaotic. You are not unstable, you are unreadable. When you contradict yourself, do it with timing, with calculation, so they fear making assumptions about you ever again. Think of reputation. If you are only kind, you will be used. If you are only cruel, you will be despised. But if you are sometimes kind, sometimes cruel, always by your own choice, they cannot prepare. They will tread carefully, never knowing what awaits. This balance of contradiction is not weakness, it is the purest form of strength. It is the freedom to bend without being broken. Contradiction also breaks dependency. When you are consistent, others adapt to you, manipulate you, and trap you in their expectations. But when you are unpredictable, they cannot lean on you. They cannot cage you. They cannot domesticate you. The contradictory man belongs only to himself. He is feared because he cannot be owned. Men will whisper about your contradictions. They will call you unstable, dangerous, ruthless, cold. Let them. Their whispers are proof that you are ungraspable. Their fear is proof that you are effective. The predictable man is safe, but he is also invisible. The contradictory man is a legend, feared because he cannot be understood. Fear is born in mystery, and contradiction is the greatest mystery of all. Machiavelli wrote that men must appear stable while practicing deceit, that a ruler must play opposite roles depending on circumstance. This is the heart of contradiction, the ability to wear multiple faces while remaining one man. The weak call it hypocrisy. The strong call it strategy. You are not bound by morality, not bound by expectation. You are bound only by results. So embrace your contradictions. Let them see generosity, then cruelty. Let them see silence, then thunder. Let them believe you are merciful, then watch them tremble when you are merciless. Always shift, always bend, always remain unreadable. That is how you train them to never underestimate you again. To master contradiction is to master perception. And when you master perception, you master power itself. Comment below. I am the contradiction they cannot control. Number 9. The mirror. The greatest weapon of power is not the sword, not the mask, not even fear. It is reflection. To become the mirror is to become untouchable. Men do not truly see you. They see themselves in you. They hear their own thoughts echo back. They feel their desires validated, their beliefs confirmed, their secrets reflected. And when you master the mirror, you control them without force. Understand this. Men are obsessed with themselves. They crave affirmation, hunger for recognition, ache to see their image in the eyes of others. When you reflect that image back at them, subtly, skillfully, they will mistake your reflection for truth. They will say, "This man understands me." But in reality, you are only reflecting their ego. Their loyalty is not to you, it is to the version of themselves you allowed them to see. Machiavelli wrote that rulers must not always be virtuous, but must appear virtuous. The mirror is how you build that appearance. When dealing with the ambitious, reflect their ambition. When dealing with the fearful, reflect their fear. When dealing with the proud, reflect their pride. You become what they need, not because it is you, but because you are their own reflection. That is why they will follow you without question. The mirror disarms enemies as well as allies. A man who feels opposed will fight you. A man who feels seen will hesitate. He will believe you share his thoughts, his vision, his resentment. In truth, you share nothing, but his belief in your reflection shackles him. That is how you turn rivals into allies, without them realizing they've been conquered. But the mirror is not weakness, it is not submission, it is control. You are not surrendering identity, you are bending perception. The mirror gives nothing of yourself away. It hides you deeper, cloaks your true will beneath the mask of familiarity. While they stare into their reflection, they never notice the predator behind the glass. The mirror also protects. When people believe you are like them, they lower their guard. They reveal more than they intend. They confess. They share secrets, weaknesses, ambitions. They expose themselves while thanking you for understanding, and you, saying little, simply absorb and remember. They believe they know you, when in reality, you know them. The weak fear contradiction because it makes them seem false. The master of the mirror thrives in contradiction because he can reflect one truth to one man and its opposite to another. Both believe you are loyal to them. Both believe you are their ally. They never realize they are allies only with themselves. And by the time they notice, your power has already rooted too deeply to be uprooted. Think of history's strongest rulers. They rarely ruled by force alone. They ruled by belief, by reflection, by making others feel that their own desires lived within the ruler's heart. The people obeyed not because they were conquered, but because they thought their reflections sat on the throne. That is the silent genius of perception. But beware, a mirror must never crack. If they see that you reflect them only as strategy, they will turn bitter, enraged, humiliated. Men cannot stand the truth that they were only ever loving themselves through you. Protect the illusion. Keep the mirror polished. Let them believe forever that what they saw was real. The mirror is power because it is invisible. They will never name it, never accuse it, never understand it. They will defend you because they believe you are one of them. They will love you because they think you share their soul. And when necessary, they will fear you, because to oppose you would feel like opposing themselves. This is the 9th law of perception. Reflect, absorb, bend. Be their mirror, and you will own them without chains. They will never know where they end and you begin. Comment below, I am the mirror that bends all men. Number 10. Perception of the untouchable. To be untouchable is the highest form of power. It is not about riches, nor armies, nor fleeting admiration. It is about building an aura so dense, so sharp, so unshakable that men do not even dare to test you. The untouchable is beyond slander, beyond attack, beyond the claws of envy. He does not beg for respect. He demands it, simply by existing. Understand this. Most men are exposed. They are vulnerable to insult, to gossip, to shifting tides of opinion. But the untouchable is armored in perception. He appears larger than life, too distant to strike, too disciplined to corner. He moves like a shadow and a flame, seen but never grasped. His presence alone reshapes the room. That is the perception you must build. The path to becoming untouchable begins with separation. You cannot be one of the crowd. You cannot mingle as equal. The masses pull down what they can touch, but they bow before what they cannot reach. Distance elevates you. The untouchable is not everyone's friend. He is not everyone's voice. He is the figure they imagine, but never fully know. That mystery is his fortress. But distance alone is not enough. The untouchable must also embody consequence. People must believe that to test you is to risk ruin. Whether you punish directly or indirectly, whether you act or simply let whispers work, they must know that resistance carries weight. Not every man dares climb the mountain, not because it cannot be climbed, but because the mountain devours those who try. Machiavelli taught that rulers must balance cruelty and kindness, fear and love, visibility and distance. The untouchable takes this further. He is not bound by balance, he is bound by aura. He becomes a figure both admired and feared, both respected and resented, but never crossed. To be untouchable is to make men think twice before even speaking your name. Reputation feeds the aura, but reputation alone is fragile. To be untouchable, your reputation must be fused with myth. Let them believe stories that grow beyond you. Let them spread whispers that magnify your power. Never correct them, never diminish them. Myths grow in silence, and myths make you immortal while still alive. The untouchable is not loud. He does not defend himself against petty attacks. He does not scramble to justify or explain. The very act of defending would mean he could be touched. Instead, he lets attacks wither in air, ignored into irrelevance. Silence is his shield, and the weight of his image makes small men's words dissolve into dust. But hear this truth: untouchable is not invincible. It is a perception, carefully sculpted, guarded, and renewed. You must remain disciplined, never letting cracks appear. Do not reveal doubts, do not expose weakness, do not seek validation. The untouchable man validates himself through presence, not approval. He never competes because the throne does not compete with the crowd. Fear plays its part, but it is not enough. Awe is the other half. To be untouchable, men must not only fear what you might do, they must also admire the strength you embody. They must sense a discipline beyond their own, a control they cannot match, a will that does not break. This awe freezes their envy, poisons their defiance, and replaces rebellion with reluctant respect. The untouchable man is also contradiction perfected. He is distant yet present, cold yet magnetic, ruthless yet calm. He is feared without being hated, respected without being loved. They cannot categorize him, so they mythologize him. They cannot predict him, so they worship him. Contradiction confuses the masses, and confusion feeds the aura of invulnerability. You must also master timing. Appear when your presence will shake the air. Withdraw when your silence will burn louder than words. Strike when resistance dares rise, but only once, with precision so devastating that no one forgets. Then vanish again into distance, leaving the impression of power, not the fatigue of overexposure. The untouchable does not react, he dictates. He does not follow tides, he creates storms. The world bends around his choices, even when he chooses nothing. That is the secret. Not endless motion, but decisive motion. Not constant noise, but rare thunder. The untouchable is feared because he is not ruled by impulse. He is patient, deliberate, absolute. Think of empires, kings, conquerors. The ones remembered were not the loudest, they were the ones who built aura. Caesar's name carried weight centuries after his body fell. Napoleon's shadow stretched even when he was in exile. Machiavelli himself was feared not for armies, but for thought, for perception, for the power of unseen influence. Untouchability is not just strength, it is immortality carved into perception. This is the final law of perception: to rise, above the reach of hands and tongues, to become myth while alive, to be feared, respected, and admired, but never touched. Once you embody it, the world bows not because of your crown, but because of the aura that surrounds you. That aura is your empire and it cannot be stolen. So build it, guard it, live it. Speak less, move less, but weigh more. Let them whisper your name as though it burns. Let them wonder, let them speculate, let them exaggerate, and never correct them. The untouchable does not explain. He simply is. Comment below, "I am untouchable." And remember, like this message, subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications, because the untouchable does not wait. He commands and others follow.